Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sel Harris. I am a native of Virginia Beach, Virginia. But today I'm in Washington, D.C. and my heart is still in the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, where I was blessed to be able to spend 2 weeks as a gift from your wonderful President, His Excellency President Jammeh. I really appreciate his making this opportunity for me. For many years, I have had an interest in learning more about African history, African culture, ways that we as Americans and West Africans can partner together, because we are neighbors. 30 years ago, I received my PhD from the University of St. Andrews in St. Andrews, Scotland, and I have been involved in interfaith dialogue for 30 years since then. One of my dear friends, who's one of the native sons of the Gambia, Dr. Suleiman Yang, who I met years ago, I mentioned to Dr. Yang that I wanted to get to know more about an African nation, and I had 10 embassies that I was going to write to see if I could meet with the ambassador. He said, well, make sure one of those 10 is the embassy of my home country, the Gambia. Well, of course, I knew of the Gambia because many of my African-American brothers and sisters came from ancestors who were stolen, who were devout Muslims who were stolen and brought here to the United States. I wrote those 10 emails and only one person responded, and that was the Honorable Ambassador Fai of this embassy here. April the 7th of this past year, I was a guest here in this embassy where I met the ambassador and Mr. Pierre Mente. Anyhow, we kept communicating more and more, the opportunity came that the President of the Gambia made it possible for me to come visit for 2 weeks in September. I left on the 11th of September and I came back on the 24th of September. During that time, I met many of the wonderful Gambian people. I met with the ministers. I met with His Excellency the President, who is a visionary, who understands, and who set up an itinerary for me where I got to see the many wonderful things that your beautiful nation is doing. I visited hospitals that do things for people that we in the United States won't do. It's not because we can't afford it, but it's because our healthcare industry is profit-driven. But what you do is you provide free prenatal care for all pregnant women. I come from a family of doctors. My late father was a doctor. My uncle was a doctor. My brother is a doctor. My brother said, when you give women prenatal free health care, you are expanding the life expectancy for the whole nation. I visited farmlands, rice fields, the Songhai Training Center. I saw the many things that you do to feed yourself. I learned about the slogan, grow what you eat and eat what you grow, and that if you're a Gambian, every dish of food you put on your table, you know where it comes from, because it comes from your country. You feed yourself, and you're very close to being able to provide rice for the entire continent of Africa. I was telling my wife about you know where your food comes from. She said, what a comfort that must be to Gambian mothers, that they know they are serving their children the best food there is. I came back thinking to myself, no, we can't teach Gambia anything about agriculture, but they sure can teach us as Americans a whole lot. My wife, before I left, I had to get a hepatitis B shot. I had a tropical smoothie that somehow had gotten some bad strawberries from another country of the world I won't name, but anyhow, I had to get this hepatitis B shot before I left because it was tainted food. I was just amazed riding through the streets of Banjul or in the country, just looking at Gambians who are happy, who are well fed, who were happy about life. When I talked to them, they talked at great length about how proud they were of their president, the leadership that he's giving for not only for Gambia, but I would say also for Africa and indeed for the world. because your president teaches Gambians something that we as Americans once had. That is that it's up to you to respond to what God has given to you and to make your life better for yourself, but also for everyone else. Don't leave anyone behind. But in the time that I talked with him, I was really struck by his gift from God of how he could see leadership potential in people and develop that. And I talked to people who he had tapped for special jobs and who said something, the president saw something in me I couldn't see for myself. I saw bustling streets with commerce. And you know, I was telling one of the ministers, please, please, please don't let Walmart come here. Because Walmart will come here and will do what it did to all the nice, you know what I mean when I say mom and pop stores downtown, they just ran out of business. And I saw happy merchants that were selling their wares, selling their foods, but then putting their money back into their community. That's not what Walmart does. Yes, you could buy things very inexpensively, but that money that you spend would not stay in the Gambia. It would go to Batesville, Arkansas, and line the pockets of shareholders who really don't care anything about Walmart or the people or the food that it gives. But I came home, I told the ministers when I met with them on Wednesday, the 12th of September, that coming here, I felt like I was on a pilgrimage. I felt like that everything that I'd ever been done in my life was pointing to this week, which my wife of 35 years confirmed for me when I got back. And as I come back here now, I feel a bit, if I could liken myself, this example, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was on the mountain and he heard what Gabriel wanted him to do. And as he came down that mountain, he said, I can't do anything else but what I saw, what I heard. Same thing with me. I left the United States to go to Gambia as an empty pitcher. I wanted to hear stories. I wanted to see things. I wanted to see the great things your president has been doing that I'd heard about. And I wanted that pitcher to fill up. And then pitchers, you know, are not supposed to store things. They're supposed to be poured and shared. And I wanted to come home to the United States and share all the wonderful things that I saw your president doing, that I saw your people doing, that we as Americans can learn, the world can. You are the smallest country in Africa, but you're rightfully the smiling coast. And I just come home knowing that I want to go back again, again, and again, because I feel like my learning is just beginning. I want to say, too, that Gambians and Americans share 42 million very special people. They're my African American sisters and brothers, my fellow Americans, but they're also your cousins that you don't know. It was very painful for me to go to Jufra and see the place where they were held on Punta Kinte Island before they came here. And I shared the ambassador, when I went to Fort Bullitt, we got on the ferry, and it was a bright sunny day, pretty blue skies it always was, and I looked and I saw the beautiful African coast there. Here was the mouth of the Gambia River, the wide Atlantic, and all of a sudden I got very, very, very sad because I remembered, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the Middle Passage. This is where the ancestors of my African American sisters and brothers left these shores. And it was dark. They couldn't have seen what I was seeing because the slavers didn't want them to see the African coast, which they would never see again. I did not sleep that night. I went home that night and I emailed every African American sister and brother whose email address I had on my iPad, telling them what I saw, how sorry I was, and how even more committed I am to the whole notion of reparations. Your president wants to rid the continent of Africa, and indeed the entire world, of the horrible legacy of colonialism and its offspring, which I call income inequality, bad economies, and slavery, which take from those who cannot such as African nations and colonialism, they could have stopped these European powers and North American powers from taking things. But we are all Africans, and again, we know that 100,000 years ago, 200 Africans left what is now eastern Kenya. They populated the world. Somehow we've forgotten that we're all brothers and sisters, but we're all Africans first. And I can't not do anything after this amazing pilgrimage I had. I have to tell people, and I've already got 13 opportunities to do that. But I also stand ready to do whatever your president wishes me to do in any way that I can promote the wonderful, beautiful people that are Gambians, that are my new sisters and brothers. Again, I feel like I'm just getting started. I am so grateful to Allah, but also your president, for extending this wonderful opportunity for me to let me come into this beautiful country, see these beautiful people, for me personally to learn, but for me to go home and tell people, hey, we need to make that Atlantic Ocean a lot smaller so we can learn from each other. Because I'm here to tell you, you can teach us a whole lot more than we could ever teach you.